Okay, so I hope all of us had fun. Now we will begin with the second track of the day. I would like to invite Movin, our moderator for Connecting People and Planet track, onto stage to start the session. Movin, please.
Thank you, Letitia. Okay, thanks everyone for coming. Thank you so much for spending this Saturday afternoon with us. The first track was really, really interesting. I think we all learned a lot from that, and now we are going to learn even more in the second track. So this second track is basically called Connecting People with the Planet. And it's specially curated to put a spotlight on regional efforts that actively involve communities in wildlife conservation. When we talk about ecosystems, we cannot avoid discussing the intimate relationship that people have with nature and the environment. And this track will show how we galvanize communities to protect biodiversity for our shared future. And so our first speaker for this track is Dr. Chang Nguyen. So she's a Vietnamese wildlife conservation scientist, environmental activist, and the director of the Vietnamese-based NGO Wild Act. Her NGO Wild Act actively engages community involvement to manage natural resources. In her presentation, she will share her efforts empowering local communities and individuals across different sectors in order to contribute to wildlife conservation. So Dr. Chung, please come and take it away.
Why are you here? Why are you working in conservation in Africa? Why are you working in Cambodia? Why are you in Singapore? Why don't you go back to Vietnam and work for conservation in Vietnam? Those are the questions that I've been receiving over the last over 10 years since I was working in wildlife conservation. This is Sir David Attenborough once said, there isn't a child in the world that is not fascinated by nature. This is a picture of me when I was small. I was on the trip with my family, and on the beach, I found a little worm, a little green worm on the beach, and I was so worried that he's going to be squashed by the people walking by, that I decided I'm going to move this worm to a safer place, and that me trying to poke the worm with a little stick, try to move him. Back in the early 90s, when the Vietnamese government, tried to change the slide, it doesn't seem to work. Back in the early 90s, the Vietnamese government allowed people to keep bears for the bear-by farming. Can anyone help me to change the slide? It doesn't seem to work. Yep. So back in the early 90s, when the Vietnamese government allowed people to keep bear for bear-by farming, right in the family next door to my house, they were having this bear keeping little cages. And as students, we was very small and we was very curious. I never in my life seen a bear before. So we always tiptoeing and try to peer through the gate and try to see how does a bear look like. But we never able to see it because the people who keep the bears, they have a giant rain cover on top of the bear cage. But one day when we get back home late from school, and we heard people talk about bears, and they were saying something about the bear bites. So we was very curious, and we came over and we peered through. And for the first time in my life, I saw a giant black bear was knocked out completely, and she was lying on her back. And there was people surrounding her, and people with a big syringe, and they was poking her in the chest. At that moment, all of us screamed. We scared for the bears, we scared for ourselves. We don't know what bear-by farming is, or what it means, or why do people doing it. But from what we saw, we knew bear-by farming is cruelties, and it's something that, from what I see, what I heard, the smell, the image, everything is still in my head until nowadays. And at that moment, I promised to myself, and I make a promise to the bears, that I would try to do everything I can to stop this from happening to the bears. Next slide, please. It's not easy because almost 30 years ago in Vietnam, conservation is something very new, something that not many people know what it is. And I talked to my parents, I talked to my teacher, and they told me that conservation is a career for white men people. People from the West, they are rich, they have a lot of money. That's why they go in the forest, and that's why they protect the animals. We Vietnamese people, especially a Vietnamese woman, used to study to be an accountant or a teacher or thing like that. And I said, I'm not interested in the job, I want to be a conservationist. So I go on, at that time there was not even internet available in Vietnam. So I have to call this number and I ask them, I want to be a conservationist. Is there any way I can talk to, anyone I can talk to to learn about the jobs. And I learned that there is several organizations back in the day in Vietnam, the WWF and the Traffic Monitoring Network, and so I contacted them. And because I was a kid, so they was like, oh, you can wait until you grow up a little bit. You are in primary school, what can you do? So I was trying to be very persistent. I keep talking to them, I keep emailing them. And this picture actually was taken when I was 15. I was one of the youngest volunteers back in the day. Next slide, please. And when I was doing volunteer work, I realized how much I love working in conservation. I realized that this is not just a childish dream, not just something a kid decided to do. And I want to be studied. I want to following conservation as a professional career. How am I going to do that? Most of the book I found was in English. Most of the information I found also in English. And back in the day, I can't even spell the word hello. I almost failed at school in the language. And I remember when my mom told me to go study English, I argued with her. I said, I'm a Vietnamese. I'm going to live here. I'm going to die here. Why do I have to learn English? I hated it. But because of what I wanted to do, and I learned that the only way that I can actually work in conservation, the only way back then for me to learn about conservation was to study English. I tried my best, and I ended up got a scholarship to go study in the UK. And this picture actually was taken in Madagascar, where I did my research, my master research on the brown collared lemurs in the countries. At that time, I still very naive, and I thought that conservation means you're working with animals. You don't have to deal with humans at all, and I love it. I love being in the forest. I love following the animals, study their behavior, see what they eat, see how they're interacting with each other. But then I realized it's not that simple, isn't it? When you're in the forest, you saw a lot of traps. You saw lots of hunters. You saw people killing the animals and eating them. So I start wondering to myself, what is the point of being conservation scientist and not really do conservation, just pumping out research paper? And so I realized that humans is the problems, but we also the solution. And there's no way we can eliminate the human out of the conservation equations. Can you help me to move to the next slide, please? So at YACT, when we creating the organizations, we realized that all of our activities, all of our projects and our program must tie to humans. And here you can see that we have the three main pilot programs, the capacity buildings, school and communities, as well as species and habitat. All of these pilot programs take human as its core function. And as my story I was sharing with you almost 20 years ago when I tried to study conservation in Vietnam, there was no such formal course in university. You will not be able to find any course that say biodiversity conservation in the country. And even now in 2024, you will still not be able to find such course. So when I was talking to my colleague, I said, this is what we need to do and we need to change. There's no way we can do conservation effectively if the Vietnamese people cannot learn about nature in Vietnam in our own language. I realized that not everyone is lucky as me. Not everyone is able to learn English, study English, and then go study overseas. You need a lot of money and resource and support from the family to do that. So we try to bring this course to Vietnam for the Vietnamese people. We've been working with national university in the country for the last 4 years. And with support from other organizations such as Thai, Save Vietnam Wildlife, we were able to create a short course for young Vietnamese to study conservation. And the great news is that by the end of this year, for the first time in the country, there will be a master degree course on biodiversity conservation as a result of our effort with the National University of Vietnam in Hanoi. Thank you. So what did we do? Over the last few years, we were able to train 25 young Vietnamese peoples. And I'm very, very proud to say that a very high percentage of them are now working in wildlife conservation full time. Some of them, before they joining our course, they don't even know what the pangolin is. They don't even know what the pangolin look like. And they have no idea because they didn't have any background in biodiversity conservation or nature in general. But they was able to secure a full-time job and working with us, and we are so proud to call them our colleague. And quite a few number of the people who participate in our course, now they study overseas, they're doing their master or their PhD degree, and they're doing their research within the countries. Anyone here interested in birds? Anyone here are birders? You might be interested in this story. You might realize that these are the yellow bitterns. And in Vietnam, from August to February every year is the migratory bird seasons. means thousands, hundreds of birds flew from the cold air in Europe, go across my country. They stop over at the coastal line in Vietnam for as a breeding site or as a feeding site. But that also means that the local people, they put up hundreds and thousands of bird traps. What you see in the picture is a yellow bittern got tangled in the mist nets. Mist nets is what you can imagine it like a fish net, but they erected it up in the sky instead of under the sea. And it's see-through. A lot of times humans can't even detect it, let alone the bird. And once they caught everything, they caught anything that fly, from bird to insect, everything. And the Vietnamese government had declared this is the migratory bird crisis and call for action from the communities. So through our research, we realized that the majority of the people who are catching birds are practicing Catholics in the coastal area of Vietnam. The most effective way is not for us conservationists from another province coming in and telling them what to do, but we have to work with the religious leaders. So we work with the Catholic leaders. We interweaving the message of conservation with the Bibles and asking the priests to give their talks on Sunday and Saturday to the practitioners. We also work with the school community around the area and also working with the women union and the farmer in the area and try to persuade them not to consume and not to trade bird anymore. So as our effort so far, over 500 mist net was removed, and the total length of mist nets come up to about 5 or 50 kilometers at each of our survey. We were able to also to train the rangers so they know how to remove the birds safely from this net without damaging them more. And we also try to help with the local communities where they can be our main messengers. They go out and they talk to people and they provide information and persuade the people using their own education materials that we're supporting them to decide. Now traveling down south to Vietnam to the Central Highland, where Chu Ang Sinh National Park, 60,000 hectares, only 100 rangers patrolling the forest. So you can do the math. There's not enough capacities, there are not enough people to protecting this forest. And this is one of the most biodiversity and also highest cultural diversity in the country, where we have 22 out of 54 ethnic minority groups living and working here. The picture you see is our community teams, comprised of 100% of the Hmong people. Now the Hmong people are very unique. They come from the northern part of the country and they migrate down to the south, to this area in early 90s. They are famous for their hunting techniques. They can go in the forest for months and they're really determined and they have really, really good hunting techniques that a lot of people consider them as the destroyer of the forest. So we work with the ex-hunters. We're encouraging the national parks to employing the Hmong people to work for them as rangers, because over the last few years there have been quite bad conflict in the area where these hunters shooting at the rangers, and actually we were supporting one of the rangers who was shot 17 bullets in his body. And just imagine how bad it is and how much tension it caused between the communities and the rangers. And the only way to resolve those conflicts is to make these people to work together. And as a result, here you can see a lot of snare traps, all kind of different types of traps that was prosecuted. There was bullet down there. And as a result, then so far we are able to employ full-time for 6 hunters. We are able to remove almost 2,700 traps. Cam remove, and the ranger also be trained on how are they going to support each other if in case of emergency, in case they got hurt, in case they got injured in the forest, how to safely take each other out of the forest, and other capacity building as well. We cannot talk about delivering conservation goals without involving people from all different backgrounds, age groups, and genders. And working in conservation, I think a lot of people who work here aware that conservation is such a male-dominated sector. A lot of time when you look at it, you can see that people who organize the events, people who do paperwork, people who work on the desk are females. But when you talk about working in the forest, foraging, studying the animal, mostly are men. Is it because women don't want to do it? Not true. We want to do it so much as the men, but we were not given the opportunity, we were not given the safe working environment. Sexual harassment and gender-based violence are some of those that preventing women from going into forest and become a researcher. So we provide training for women. We supporting them. We provide capacity building training so they learn how to managing the project, how to write project proposals, how to deliver the project effectively, how to evaluate these projects. And they also learn about, we're also providing training for men and women in the conservation sectors, because the previous year when we did our survey, it's shocking that with 114 conservationists working in Vietnam participate in our survey, show that 6 out of 7 people, 6 out of 7 responders experienced sexual harassment when they was working in the sectors. So we provided kind of training, how to identify sexual harassment, how to preventing it, and how to respond to it correctively. We also helping them to creating a safeguarding policy and implementing that at their own organization. Another thing that we do, and I'm really proud to say, is that we collaborate with another gender organization in the countries. And at each of the province, we are able to provide a safe place where if sexual harassment happens or any unsafe behavior happens, the woman or the survivor of sexual harassment can run to that safety place, and they will be provided with all the help needed, including legal help, and they can stay there until they feel safe to return or to go back home. So far, this is the numbers, this is the results of our efforts. We was very proud to provide sub-grant award for the women to be in charge, to take lead of the conservation work they are doing. And because the time is running out, so I just want to say that for forests to be healthy and to be flourished, we need a lot of different species. We need tree, we need different species of tree, plant, animal, and insect. It's the same for conservation. For conservation to flourish, we need people who come in from all different sectors, different background, different age group, different gender. We cannot eliminate women out of this work. We cannot eliminate the youth out of the work. We cannot eliminate the older people out of our work. So I just want to say that I really hope that you will come to us, no matter what you're doing, whether your background is in advertising, whether the background is in marketing, business, all of your talent, it's extremely important to us. Just like Anton earlier, I love it that he's a journalist, but he contributes so much for conservation, just like any other conservationist. And we alone, conservationists and conservation scientists or practitioners, cannot achieve conservation goals without your help. So please, please, please come to us, and we would love to host you in Vietnam. There are some of my colleagues down in the audience somewhere. That Ha and Thu, Ha and Huong, can you wave your hand? So if you see them, you want to talk more about our work, please come to talk to them and come to talk to me. Thank you.
Chang, thanks so much for that presentation. It was really good. And thank you so much for giving us an overview of this multi-pronged approach that your team has when it comes to doing conservation in Vietnam, and sort of an understanding that working with not just one, but many different types of communities is absolutely crucial when it comes to doing conservation work. And right now, for the next presentation, what we're going to do is we're actually going to shift from talking about this very broad scale of looking at many different communities to focusing on working very specifically with a single community and how effective they are. So now we have Ms. Rex Moi Lui, who's the Executive Director of the Culture and Environment Preservation Association, or SEPA. She's a Mekong hero with 21 years of professional experience in environmental conservation, community-based natural resource management, stakeholder engagement, and research. And her presentation is going to focus on community fisheries and how her organization helps to support these communities to manage these fisheries on their own and sort of result in conservation outcomes that way. So Ms. Rixmay, please come to the stage now.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is time for sleeping. Yeah. Yeah, he is a Rex boy from Tepa, Cambodia. Get a word as a Mekong hero. And I think you are all also the Mekong hero. Please provide a clap to all Mekong hero here. Yeah. I very love the theme today that call about connect people and planet. It's very, very interesting. Let me share some experience about the community-based conservation for fishery and ecosystem management, but I focus only the case of the broodstock zone management in the Ramsar in Stang Trai province, Cambodia. My presentation will mention 5 points. We start from who is SEPA, and then we introduction about the community-based conservation and the broodstock zone management, and also talk about the lesson learned and any recommendation for improve the next program. Yeah, this is the landscape of the Ramsar site. Who is SEPA? Yes, SEPA, the full name of SEPA is the Culture Environment Preservation Association. It's a local NGO who has many experience on natural resources management and community development since 1996. And our vision is we wish to see an independent society that preserve its culture and protect its environment and natural resources by inclusive, innovative, and sustainable. And currently, SEPA is working at the target province around the Mekong River and around the Tonle Sap. And from our intervention, we have many success indicators in place in the present in the target community, like more than 30K household in the community. They have secured their right to manage their natural resources by themselves, and also the sustainable financing mechanism in place in their community that can support their function of community, like mini trust fund, credit, community-based ecotourism, and also they have the strong network and function for sharing and learning each other inside the province and outside in the national and national level. Here we talk about the community-based conservation on fishery and ecosystem management. This is the effective mechanism that empower local community and especially the indigenous people to be lead activity in conservation and management their own resources to be sustained and also improve their livelihood condition. Here, for SEPA, we talk about community-based conservation on fishery and ecosystem management. We focus on community fishery, community fish refuge, deep pool conservation, broodstock zone management. That we are we can call that we are expertise, especially about that. Yeah, and this is the data of community fishery in Cambodia. Currently, there are 515 community fisheries that cover around more than 1 million hectares of fishing area in Cambodia. And in the Stang Trai, we have only 62 community, and the data of deep pool in the Ramsar site have only 15 deep pool, and also have the 4 broodstock zone management. This is the photo of the Ramsar site landscape in during the dry season from November to May, and this place will be flooded in the training season, where is the place that the SEPA apply the broodstock zone management project. Stang Trai Ramsar site is suitable the Mekong River between the land border and Stang Trai town. It's designed as the Ramsar site in 1999 and cover the land more 14,600 hectares of the landscape. And this place is contain a unique seasonal flooding forest that is the fish habitat, and also is the home of the we call dolphin Also the Mekong giant catfish and Mekong freshwater stingray and many species living there. And but but there is a problem that happening in that the side, like illegal fishing, like impact from hydropower development and mining, and also the negative impact from climate change. That is all problem that bring the program on broodstock zone management to be implemented there. The broodstock zone management project we implement with the 5 approach here. In the first one, we empower the local community, indigenous people, women, and youth to be have capacity to lead conservation activity and manage their fishery resources. We support them through the capacity building, learning, sharing, and learning by doing. And also we promote the co-management model in the Ramsar site. Because the Ramsar site, there are many stakeholders there that they have a duplicate role in fishery conservation, fishery management, like ranger, fishery officer, authority. They have authority to manage their resource in that place. So we need to coordinate all of them to be on the one stage and talk together for co-management on the fishery resource in that place. And also we try to increase the local participation to be joined in that dialogue and join the planning process that developed by the commune council, we call commune investment development plan, like that. And also we apply the protecting the broodstock zone and the pool in the closing season. For the Stang Train province, it's different from other side like Tonle Sap. In the Stang Train, they have they close the fishing season from May to September. That is the season for fish brood. And we need to protect the broodstock zone and the pool that is the place for fish fruit. And don't allow the fisher to catch fish in that zone. And also we promote the joint action plan because as I mentioned earlier, many stakeholders in that place working on the fishery resource management, and we need to call them together to develop the joint action plan for avoiding the duplicate activity to do in the same area. And community themselves, they don't just need the technical support, but they need the financial support to manage their resources. And that this is the approach that SEPA applies for promoting sustainable financing approach. To be a community to have stronger and sustain, we apply the mini-trust fund, credit, and community-based ecotourism, and other fishery enterprise to mobilize some contribution from that mechanism to support the community to implement their management plan. From our implement the program, we achieved some many success. Like we, the community themselves, they have strong capacity to manage their community. They can able to use smart patrol for patrolling, and also they can lead the conservation activity at their community. And among 17 community fishery in the Ramsar site, there are 10 community fishery is outstanding and recognized from government to be recognized and provide award for them. And currently, there are 4 broodstock zone protection estimate and functioning to be protect the brood fish during the closing season. And they develop the management rule and safeguard compliance and regulation for their effective management in the broodstock zone. And here is the team that they join the broodstock zone. They come from all stakeholders like ranger, fishery officer, local community, and police and authority. They join together to protect their broodstock. Yeah, this is the stakeholder platform create and function until now. This platform is improve the co-management, joint planning and joint patrolling together to manage and conserve their resources in the broodstock zone. And also every community fishery in the Ramsar side, they have self-financing and they have own finance to support their implement the activity of conservation. Yeah, they have a network, we call a community fishery network, women leadership network, Mekong youth network, ecotourism network. It's all the network that in place in the community at the province and national level that can bring representative of community to be share and learning from each other. Yeah. From our intervention, we have learned some experience from this, improve the conservation of effectiveness and also protect the broodstock. Local community and also stakeholder, they recognize that the broodstock zone mechanism is very effective to conserve the brood fish and also contribute to the fish stock and livelihood improvement. However, we need some guidelines to maintain the sustainable financing mechanism in their community. That is we call to national level to recognize this mechanism that is very effective for community and to be sustained and stronger. And also we need to improve the fishery law compliance because fishery law, some part of fishery law is not practical for community because the fishery law is established in 1995, so it's an old one. We need to improve, and also we need to improve the data sharing and improve data and sharing about the smart system. Currently, community they able to collect data for smart system, but NGO staff, we support them to define and analyze the data. And we currently try to do this system by using the local language that is able to community themselves. They can entry the data into the system by themselves. And yes, for the Ramsar side, they have the management plan of the Ramsar side, but this management plan is old now and out of that, and we need to update the management plan of the Ramsar side, and also we will try to negotiate to integrate the broodstock zone management mechanism in that the Ramsar the planning. I think the broodstock zone protection is a very effective mechanism and can scale up to the similar landscape lie around the Tonle Sap and the coastal zone. Yeah. Yes, thank you for your attention, and if you have any question, yeah, please welcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Rexme. So thank you so much for that perspective. I think we often think about terrestrial conservation quite a bit, but freshwater conservation and protecting species that are endemic to our freshwaters is something that is often neglected. And so thank you so much for that refreshing perspective. The next presenter that we have is actually a person whose presentation I'm very, very excited to see. I am a bird watcher, and Mr. Alex Weisimon has actually set up an ecotourism enterprise called the Isyo Hills in this very famous part of Papua in Indonesia called Nimbokrang. So this is an area that people go to see birds of paradise, to see cassowaries, and all of these really, really interesting species. A thing that isn't very well known about the Indonesian provinces in Papua is that a lot of the land is privately owned. And Mr. Alex has managed to bring together 16 tribes, I think, the land that is privately owned by 16 tribes into this sort of conservancy and bring that, under the helm of his leadership, but also into a site that can be amazing for bird watchers to come and see some of the rarest birds in the region. So without any further ado, Mr. Alex, please come up and take the stage.
The high technology is very hard for me. Okay, so you tired now? Give the applause. Give the applause. Thank you. If you know, give applause. I want to go down. Okay, thank you very much. As you see in the back, Isyo is a Minden name Arial. Hills, that's a little bit mountain climbing, and we call Isyo Hills bird watching. So this you can see the cassowaries. They're very in the night. Just you can real in the forest. Only 15 minutes you walk, you can see. And many people, many all around the world are coming to want to be in paradise. Let's see. Only early morning, but bird no can white you. You white the bird. They have a time for you come and watch. We have the 8 spaces and in my place. We had the areal, the 98 million square meter for nest people honor. The king bird in paradise, a 12 wire and the king bird in paradise. The magnificent bird in paradise. You can see, walk at the 45 minutes, the male and female coming. You can show you. He said, I am. You saw me. Look it. Very nice action, looking nice. I like you and me. In the morning, you go. Wow. Look at that. Number one on the world, the bird in paradise, and then 750 species in Papua. Wow. Just, I want to tell the only simple things. How do you protect the forest? How do you protect the habitat? But not easy. You know, the grassroots people, nest people understand high technology, like you and I need. It's not easy, but he need practice. We told them, and I told them, I bring the new hunting for you. Hunting with the camera. No need narrow, no need gun, but with camera. And he can under it. And bring the gas. You kill the bird only one time. You kill the mammal only one time. But you kill bird and the mammal with the camera. And they bring the gas inside, and the gas spy him. That's it. Simple. And then generation by generation can see the habitat. If you're not, you're lost. You lost one planet B, you and us. Now Asia want to protect. How to protect the planet. Not only lip service, but must to be practiced. Tell them, grassroots, ask them to protect. If you is my mobile phone, I see them, he want to learn. What I can want to do? But tell them slowly, step by step, how to protect. As many things. Okay. Okay. 2 times. Okay. There's a piring makan. You know, forest and the land like our plate. A makan is for eat. Piring makan. If you know piring makan gone, you lose everything. And the Singapore land gone, Singapore people no life. But you must to be protect. Protect for everything. You had a high position, you had a low position, Adam will care about that. But together grow. As yet hand together. And then go and running together. Yeah. You cannot say I'm the best. Cannot. Because planet only one. That's why we hear it now. We sit together. Asian people, I tell, grow now, not and white, because planet nearly gone. Nearly. If you lost, he gone. Habitat, bird, animals, mammals, seaweed, all everything can gone. So that's why perimakan. I tell them, forest like you plant, forest like you supermarket, forest like you bank. You just go in, everything free. No pay. Everything free. If you go to the city, you buy one cigarette, one bread, you no pay, you must to pay. But you protect the forest, but everything free from there. You protect the sea, everything from there. You protect everything. Flowers, must be protect. If you not protect, you know flowers. Nice to see. Only building. But if you need knowledge, you protect this and protect everything for us. Yeah. That's why I think I want piring makan for us. This war is a piring makan. War is a plate. Plate for us. Put the bread, put the rice, put the noodles, put everything there. And then we eat. If not, you lose. Me also lose. And then I cannot come in this state. It's very serious. Don't serious. But I talk serious for you. More than the youth people. You think how to do. You come in every country in Asia. What do you want to do? You home, you think, what I want to do for my people. I live in Bali 30 years. I go back home I want to do something for my people to grow. When you knowledge, you everything, take it back. Because you people white you, do something for him. Don't care about your position, but do something for you people. There's a piring makan. I cannot tell us one by one. Just you read. Okay, so next, I get a scholar. Sekolah is a school. Sekolah alam. I create the school for next people to grow, protect the forest, protect habitat, how to define the food in the forest. Because young people now lose the knowledge. We learn from the village because they have knowledge, they have everything. And then I bring the many university to learn together. And knowledge from the university go to the village knowledge go to the university, and they combine and they're learning together. So now we keep going right now. So many university from around the world, from local university, from national university, we work together right now to protect our planet. This, you see, husband and then wife, they collect something in the forest. You know, there's something in the forest like supermarket, like bank, like start. They go to the forest. You know, take from the forest, not pay, free. But I tell you, in the city, you take something and then do free, or you pay. You pay. But here, free. I said, going. No cut the tree, no illegal logging, no chemical in the river, no put anything. Because you have the plant inside the forest and then free for you. Everything free. But we swap our mind right now. When you're going now. That route, or you want to go to the city? You go to the city, everything you buy you back to the forest. Everything free for you. Yeah. There's a new hunting. Not easy bring the new hunting. I say, I want to ecotourism. What I bring the knowledge? I bring everything one free. Because the next people, they grow and grow. But the less the knowledge, less and less. Because the high technology, he don't understand much. He need we and us to tell them. And then Papua, the very huge country, very big biodiversity. Bird 700, and the frog 565. We have a butterfly 500 species. Wow, huge. Papua need you and me together walking. I see our people coming, sitting together, sharing together, share the knowledge together, and we grow together. That's what we need. We only not talk. Some only talk is a bullshit. You know? Okay, you talk, I want to see something. What you want to do? If you know only talk, it's a bullshit. Like a rubbish. Grow to the rubbish bin. You want to do something. Okay, so next. Yeah, this is people working. The bird guide, bring the gas. I bring this watch. They start 5 o'clock. And then they bring any camera and the boy girl. Local guide with the birding guide. She no speak English. I learning for 2 years speak English. How to see cook, go cook. How to do cleaning the rooms. He need. There's 5 o'clock start or afternoon. We see the 3 times. Morning, wake up in the 4 o'clock, we breakfast, we go to the forest. Because bird know white us. We eye the bird and bird coming and then take a picture. And then after that, afternoon birding and the night birding. Every country we need that. Not only morning birding, but we see the afternoon birding and the night birding. Because the night bird you have, yeah? How it is nighttime you can see. You can see like this time, he sleep. Many kind, many style, like you and me. They have a style to food, to feeding, to everything inside. Because everything free for them. If your forest gone, he lose home. They lose everything. So next. Yeah. They with the school, they learn together how we spend them. She understand touch, laptop. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's nice. They look. That's why I tell you already. She need you and me. And Sabah, many people in Sabah. And I shot in Philippines. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I saw the picture from university. There's a link, discuss. That's it. Thank you very much. God bless.
Mr. Alex, thank you so much for that presentation. Do you guys see those birds? Wow. Anyway, so Mr. Alex, I'm going to ask you to just wait here with me, and we're going to invite the previous speakers and also Miss Carolyn, who is Alex's daughter, who's also very involved with the ecotourism enterprise as well. Yep. Right. Can all three of you come up as well, and then we'll have a seat and we'll start the panel proper. Okay, thank you so much. This is really interesting. So first of all, I just want to thank all of the speakers for taking the time out of their schedules to come here and make time for this. Thank you for all your perspectives. They were all very interesting and all very, very different. So I think what has become very clear is that, when we talk about communities and conservation, there are many, many ways of doing it, right? So Chang, you talked about it from a very macro, very high level perspective. You're looking at things from this very big picture type of view. And Rexme, you talked about it from a very specific point of view, in a very specific and very unique case where you're looking at broodstock, right, like baby fish, and how do we ensure that these fish continue and how people manage the system, the local communities manage the system. And Mr. Alex, you have done an amazing job bringing together various tribes to show them the importance that hunting is not the only way to fill their dinner plate, right? I love that when we were talking earlier and you said that the forest is their dinner plate, you mean it in many ways. You mean it both as a sense of you can take things from the forest to eat, but you can also use the forest to earn a living. So I think one thing that a lot of people have a misconception about in terms of community-based conservation is that it's easy, or that as long as communities are given the chance to do it, it's going to happen, it's very easy. What are some of the specific challenges that you find in your specific cases where, it was not always that easy, and how did you guys manage to sort of overcome them? Yep, so that's the question I have.
I start. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, community-based conservation. When we talk, we listen about the community-based conservation is, you said, it is very easy, but actually it's not easy for us because we need we need the local people that have, that love the nature, that they understand the benefit from natural resources for their living. And they they need benefit to improve their living condition, improve their livelihood. They need time to find money to support their living. But in conservation work, no any benefit, no money. So they volunteer for this work. So we need them to understand what benefit from their conservation activity, and they need they need to show that they love it, and they have the long vision for that conservation. And also it is very difficult for us to empower local community to be to lead the conservation activity by themselves, and also very difficult for us to engage them in all the process of conservation, like my friend Mr. Buvorasa, BirdLife, the director of BirdLife Cambodia, said the people that working as a conservation activity, they don't have, they cannot be the rich man. Yeah, that's true. We cannot, the rich man and local community themselves, they cannot reach from their conservation activity, but they can be a hero for their next generation, for to manage their own natural resources. Yeah.
Anyone else? Do you have anything to say?
I can go first. I think in order to make a change, it's always difficult and it always takes a lot of time. And people often forget about the context and the background of the target as well. So let's say, for example, I was telling you about our project in Vietnam. We actually was working with the community in Chiang Sing National Parks in the Central Highland first, where we employ the local hunters to work with us to protect and patrolling the forest. So when we were working on our bird project, a lot of people come to us and say, why don't you do the same thing? Why don't you just apply the same models? Why don't you just hire the bird hunters to work for you? It doesn't work that way because in the area where the bird hunters were actively hunting the birds, the majority of them are wealthy. They are from the upper class family in Vietnam. They live in the coastal area, so their main income would actually come in from fishery and also tourism. So they have, a lot of them are full-time workers, they are doctors, they are professionals at university, but they do this bird hunting during the migration seasons as an extra incomes. And for 1 month, they can earn up to $2,000 to $5,000 from catching these birds. So I cannot come in there and say, hey, I'm going to employ you as a full-time to go patrolling and removing the trap, because there's no way you can pay anywhere near as much money to give it to them. So that's one of the things that people often forget when they look at working at community. The first assumption always jumping in is these people are poor. Let's give them money, problem solved. The second thing, people often assume that the people there don't have access to education, or they lack of understanding, or they lack of education opportunity, or they cannot read and write. A lot of the community we work with, they are literate. They go to school, they went to university, but they choose to do what they choose, maybe because of their culture, like the Hmong people that I was describing to you. A lot of them actually have a university degree. Quite a few of them, they actually study at the vet university, but then they could not get a job in the city, so they go back to their hometown and they ended up working as a hunter, following the footsteps of their parents. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing that I always found it difficult as well, that people assume that it's easy to work with community because it's easy to get funding. It's not true. For conservation organization, most of the time when you're asking for funding, people want the donor want to give you money to put people in boots and guns and go into the forest, patrolling the forest. That's what they want to see. They don't want you to go give money to investing in people. I actually talked to one of the potential donor, and now she's not working with us. She chose not to work with us. But she asked me, like, what's the point of investing in this university course for this student, for the youth in Vietnam? How long would it take me to see the change in wildlife consumption or in the number of species in the forest being hunted? When will I be able to see the decline in that number? I mean, investing in the youth, I don't see anything until 20, 30, 50 years, but I want to see the change right now. I want to give you the money so that you send more men in the forest to remove trap and to catching and to arrest people. So it's really conflict. I think that working with humans and dealing with human issues is always really conflict. And we have to look at the context, we have to look at the backgrounds, we have to look at the root cause of the problems.
Mr. Alex?
I think for me, the young people want to talk about what you are young, how to do.
Okay, thank you for the questions and the time. So of course, we have a lot of challenge, we have a lot of problem. Of course, Papua, it's very different with the other region or other province in Indonesia because very in the east. And a lot of Papuan people or indigenous people in Papua, they don't get a good education. Of course, it's bigger challenge for us to make them understand the new style of hunting. Not with the guns, but with the camera. Of course, it's very challenging for us. But my father started in 2015 with the older people in the tribe. And now in 2022, after the COVID, we start to retire the old people in the tribe. And now we start to gathering the young people to join the community because we already have a Sekolah Alam as the space for the young people to learn how to protect the forest. And then for me, and what we have in the family or in the community, of course, problem is alive, challenge is alive. If there is no problem, no challenge, so you're not alive anymore. So it means you die. So what we need to start from the young people, I come from I'm not live and grow up in Papua. I born and grow up and raised in Bali, which is very different, Bali and Papua. So I live in the city and I have to go back to Papua to help the people there to grow and trying to transfer my knowledge in Bali about tourism and hospitality to the people there. First time it's very difficult, but step by step and patient, they start to understand. Like they not really understand what is a bank, how to use a phone, how to use computer, very zero. But now, like me and my father, we can come to the Singapore, left everything in Papua, because for the last 2 years, we already teach them how to use the computer, how to make a report, how to use a phone for the reporting, and also how to communicate with the WhatsApp, and everything through the bank and transfer. So for people in city, maybe it's very basic things, but for us to teach them about that, it's very huge achievement for us because it's very zero, and now we can come here, don't think about everything in Papua, because if we have a guest in there and they can run based on the rules that we make. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. So I think just to summarize, I think the main takeaway is that community conservation is just like meeting people, right? Like everyone is different, communities are diverse. We shouldn't go into this sort of idea of working with communities with preconceived notions and preconceived ideas that, communities are poor, they're not very educated, they can't manage themselves. But actually, because they know those areas so well, sometimes they are the best people to, be aware of where to find certain birds, how to manage the brood stock for the fish, and to know where, they're great hunters. They know how to find the animals, so they also know where the animals go and which areas to conserve. So thank you for that perspective. And with that, I think we're going to go into some of the more specific questions that have been asked by the audience. So I'm going to get some of this. Oh, this is an interesting one. So for all of you, again, how do you decide? So when we want to work on community conservation, people must benefit, right? People must get something from it. Usually, when we think of it that way, it's always a case of when people benefit, the animals or the forest must pay a cost, right? There's that idea. And in many cases, it is true, right? How do you balance it? How do each of you approach, in terms of your personal practices, how do you balance the payment from nature with the benefit to the community? Or in your specific situations, is it that there is no cost? People and the forest both benefit at the same time. Yeah.
Okay. For us in the community in Isho, we have some rules. We are the bird watching spot, ecotourism destination, and then we can say Nimbokrang, it's already been almost 30 years, become the best spot for bird watching in Papua. So of course we have a lot of guests every year. So there's couple of months in the year we have maybe per year we have 200 until 300 people come to our place just to see the bird of paradise, even just see or take a picture. And of course, it makes the bird sometimes very sensitive. So we make up rules and policy. We will close our forest for 1.5 months, sometimes 2 months, depend the situation of the forest, and also depend on the situation of the bird itself, because we always doing the survey. So every time we have a guest, we will survey the birds. Is it sensitive? If it's not. If it's the bird in the sensitive situation, then we will tell the guest, oh, we do apologize. We cannot take you to this spot because the bird situation is like this. Maybe that's a very manual and traditional way how we can make the people also in Papua understand, but also excuse to our guests. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, we always thinking about a balance from the access and management and conservation of natural resources, especially fishery resources. That's why the broodstock zone management implement in that area. In the rainy season is the close season. We don't allow the fisher to catch the fish, and but we have another rule and a regulation that complement to what people know from their daily catch by integrate other options like livelihood. Alternative livelihood to them, like ecotourism, like fish racing, and other mechanism we call a credit scheme and trust fund. That is the mechanism that can contribute some benefit to the household in the community, and they don't burden much to the natural resources. And when the open season, and they can catch, but follow to the rule and law of community fishery in place in that community.
Okay, so just to clarify, what you're saying is that actually for you guys, during the rainy season, that's also the breeding season for the fish. So they go into these deep pools and then they have babies there. And so the community has decided collectively, oh, during the rainy seasons, we don't go into these deep pools to do the fishing.
They decide together inside the community where the place they can manage and conserve and don't allow the fisher to catch.
So the community itself has rules about using the resource.
Community themselves they decide to manage and conserve. We are outside we cannot decide on behalf of them.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, and
I think for Vietnam and many other countries, developing countries, we are facing a huge problem of the developments, right, for infrastructure and constructions. So a lot of these national park and nature reserve in the country, in Vietnam, although it's gained its status and it should be protected 100%, but when it put it on the scales and when the people look at it and they say, should we build a national road across these national parks? Would it help people to move about? Would it increase the money? Would it increase the livelihood of the people living in this area? And it quite sadly that normally people choose the convenience and the money rather than the nature. And that's one of the reasons why, if you look at the conservations, at least in Vietnam, there's a lot of organizations like Maya and Thai, Save Vietnam Wildlife, and many other organizations. We have to work and we try to lobbying to change the policies. So if there are any illegal activities, like even with the infrastructure, a lot of time if they want to build a road across the national park, they would have to get all kind of permission and converting the land use. But in many cases, they just do it illegally. They bribery and all kind of thing happens, and they do it under the tables. So when things like that happen, we try to get people from all kind of different sectors, especially media. We try to work with reporters. We try to let them help us to keep the voice and say, oh, this area it's 100% protected, but this company or this development project going in and destroying the place. And a lot of times, conservation work, it might come into some kind of like conflicting with the local community interest as well. And now when you talk about anti-poaching, especially if we look at a border, let's go to Africa, for example. Anti-poaching it more and more increasingly become military, right? Everything is militarized now. The ranger ended up having to be trained as a special force. They have to wear bulletproof vests. They have to learn how to use gun. They have to increase their physics so that they can go patrolling for long times in a long day periods. And I think that it's just so wrong. And the reason why, because not coming in from the local community where the poor indigenous people live. They live in harmony with nature. They take from the forest, but they also respect the forest, and they have the custom, the religious, and they believe to respect the forest. The problem coming in from outside, the problem coming in from the people who live in big cities who have lots of money in their hand and say, "Oi, I want to use a rhino horn, or I want to have some ivory products in my house." Or people nowadays with the globalizations, right? You can have people from halfway across the world decided that they want to have some trinket from this local area, and that when this illegal criminal network operating and taking advantage of people. And I think that one of the things that's really important is that you have to work and you have to empower the local communities, not just with livelihoods, sustainability, or supporting with the business and economic, but you also have to empower them, give them the ownership of the natural resources where they are from, give them ownership of the lands, give them ownership and give them the authority so that they can protect this surrounding area where they live.
Okay, thank you. So I think that's really interesting because what we're all talking about now is really about common pool resources, right? Resources that are available broadly to the community and anyone can technically access them, right? Anyone can go into the forest and hunt birds, anyone can go and catch fish, and anyone can technically, if they have guns, go and get ivory and rhino horn. But the thing is, by authorities recognizing indigenous communities and giving them the authority to govern these resources, and the communities themselves come up with the rules at play. When can we fish? When do we close off the area when the birds are sensitive, right? So that's how they preserve the resources for generations to come. And I think that's part of actually what the next question, one of the other questions we have here, is the preservation of traditional knowledge incongruent or not compatible with technological advancements. And I think we've kind of answered that question already, which is that it's not incompatible at all. They're actually very congruent with each other. We're talking about technological advancements in your ecotourism site where you basically have computers and phones and WhatsApp and everything, and you're using that to build on indigenous knowledge of where the trees are that the cassowaries come through, where is the lacking sites for the birds of paradise, and you're using that modern technology to build and allow these people, these local communities to use these birds as a resource for themselves as well without depleting it. And also technology that's going to be used elsewhere, it's also being used by communities. And I think that the idea that local knowledge or indigenous knowledge is incompatible with the way that we're looking at science and evidence-based methods is also not entirely true. Because even though indigenous people might talk about things in a different way, like people say they have stories about, birds' behavior, where you can find certain things, but they often have a grain of truth in them, right? And it's important that I think as scientists, because I'm a scientist, and when we go down to these places, we don't entirely dismiss indigenous people's stories or the things they say about the wildlife and the spaces, and that we listen to them and try and find that if there is that grain of truth that we can learn from as well as outsiders and experts, right? Okay, so next question. Okay, so okay, I think this question is specifically to something that Chang mentioned, because in terms of Alex and Uxmi, you guys have good working relationships with the communities, right? They're on board with your programs. No, I'm not saying you have a bad relationship. What I'm saying is that you work with so many different communities and you have many unique challenges, right? Like in the case of like the bird hunters, they're not impoverished people. There isn't an easy hook. Like let us like shake hands and I can protect the birds and you can get more money. You know, that's not an easy solution for them. So in cases like this, where it's obvious that local community concerns and considerations are at odds with conservation needs, how do you approach that? How do you get to them? How do you meet them halfway? I think you kind of maybe broached it a little bit when you talked about meeting them at the religious level, right? Like thinking out of the box almost, and thinking about how to approach it from like sort of like a, yeah, let's talk to the religious leaders because these are important people in these communities, and we get them on board, we can get everyone on board. So like maybe you could share a little bit more about that process.
I think this would go back to Aton's lessons about find the person hooks, because you can connect with other persons if you have something in common. So if I met you on the street and you're not interested in conservation at all, or nature or animals or anything, we have nothing in common. We can't make conversations, right? But it's the same when you go to work with communities. You have to find out, is there anything that we have in common that we can talk about? And for example, with our story of the communities in the bird communities, then we find out that, okay, so they are religious, they're super religious. They don't want to talk to us, outsider. They don't want to talk to us because some of them, the first question they asked me was, do you believe in God? If I say no, then okay, we don't have anything to talk, you get out of my house. But if I find a way to talk to them, and actually from working with that community, I actually ended up reading the Bibles, and I find it quite interesting. And then just so I can have something to start the conversation with them, and coming in to talk and to work with the priests, it's not an easy process because once people see you as an outsider, you don't even share the religious things that they have. You have nothing. They're so like they're so believing in it, and you are so silent and stuff, and they just don't want to talk to you. Then I think one of the first thing is to find something in common that you can talk to. It can be anything. It can be a simple thing like, oh, I love this food. How did you make it? And then they will open up to you. And once they open up to you, you have to spend time to talk with them. And one of the things I learned about working with people, that it's extremely important to gain people trust. And this trust is not happening in one day or two. Sometimes they would be, if you talk to people who do social research, for example, they might have to stay in the community for years or for months and stay there with them, live with them and talk to them and do what they do just so that they can believe in you and just then they can open up and you can work together. And so, yeah, I think that was the lessons for me.
Thank you.
Well.
I took two things from that. First of all, trust is very precious. There's a preciousness to trust that we cannot just easily get and just throw away easily as well, right? And that, I think, is just common to all human relationships as well. And I think that's really nice that we're bringing this very fundamental thing into conservation and the community level. And also the second thing I took away is that in Southeast Asia, we're all about food. Food connects us all. Okay, but I think we have to kind of finish up the panel now. And I want to ask all of you a question, which is that, what makes you happy when you work with communities? What are the moments? Just share one moment each where you had this really aha moment which made you feel like, you know, we're doing good things, you know? Like something good is coming out of this big interaction. Mr. Alex, I think you want to go first, right? You seem really excited.
Okay, so there's the community base. We need us, and we need the community base. We have the local knowledge come, and then we bring our knowledge. There's food or everything. Yeah, we cannot ask them. I'm the best. Cannot. Yeah. We must. I want to need you. Bring me to the forest. Yeah. I want to learn from you, and then slowly go inside. heart by heart, touch them. We cannot like our style in the city. You live it, you live in your style, and you go in and touch them. How to, because the forest the more important for us, because everything, clothing from the forest, water from the forest, table from the forest, building from the forest. Even if we lose, we cannot find. We cannot find. That's why we need them. And I go slowly. Yeah. That's why any university in Papua and the international knowledge college, and we talk, we need them. And we take the knowledge from the city, give them. University knowledge we bring to the village. Village knowledge we bring to the university. We combine. And we can find a way. If you're not, we cannot find a way. This is when I do in Papua. Yeah, I know my capacity. I know him capacity. And we sat together, sitting, sleep in the forest, walking in the jungle together, how to bear stay, how the mama life. And he know that. And he can bring me there. This is when I do in Papua. And then one more time, Papua is need us. Papua in Asia, Asian people. That's why I talk in biodiversity heroes. I'm the biodiversity heroes. I talk biodiversity heroes. What do you want to do? But we must do sitting together, talk together, sharing together, like now. And we can find a way. This is from me. I don't know from the young people want to do.
Okay, what I like to got the aha when I'm working with the community. So before I was working in the office for almost 12 years. So I never working for the community, for indigenous people. I never working with the people who not or cannot or not understand about the technology. So maybe it's very basic. It's very basic. Maybe if you live in the city, it's very common. You do the tab, you clicking, you typing. It's very basic. But when you bring it to the some places, which is they never see, maybe they never see this kind of technology, just very simple things. Oh, come, I have a video. Just showing video, and they're just happy with the video. So maybe that's the first time I met the small little girl, 2 years old, teach me how to cross a bridge in the middle of the forest. So maybe that's the first aha that okay, I think it's a time for me to stop working in the company, in the office hour, and maybe I will back to Papua and try to help them. Maybe that's the aha things.
That moment for you,
For me,
okay.
yes, thank you.
Yes, seeing the community happy is my happy. Because I'm working as a conservation, and I wish to see the beautiful landscape and rich biodiversity along the Mekong River is maintained and conserved. And community themselves, they have improved their livelihood for living. And yes, community always call me Cambodia language they call a net crew. Yes, net crew, please come to help me. I need assistance. I need support. That means they trust me and have confidence to me. And it is a very happy in my life of conservation activity is the local community themselves, they vote for me to be the hero. That is, I get a word of Mekong hero. Yeah, that is very exciting.
Thank you for sharing that.
My story is quite similar to everyone, really. I think the proudest moment that I have was when some of these students from the course, they contacted me and said, hey, Chang, guess what? I got a full-time job now at these organizations. I'm now the technical advisor. I'm now the field officer. I'm now the researcher. I got this scholarship to go study in the UK on biodiversity conservations. I can call you my colleagues now. And that kind of thing that I just feel like so immensely appreciate that they let me know that sort of good news happened to them, but also knowing that what we do is the right things. And when working with communities, I think that happened a few months ago when one of the ex-hunters in the communities, and he contacted us and he said, hi, I saw you have the community patrolling teams. Can I join? And that's just amazing because, you know, before that we have to go and we have to talk to them, we have to go to their house, try to convince them, come on, joining us, doing this, and then you're going to get paid, you're going to get this and that. But, you know, because people, if they never see you before, they have this kind of defense mechanism going and they say, oh, are you lying? Are you a scam? That kind of thing. You take a lot of time to build the trust, and then this ended up because of our community team was doing so much good, and then they was going around and they're spreading their story to the people in the community, so they feel like, oh, okay, so this is a proper job. I can get a job at the forest protectors rather than having to go hunting. So those kind of small story, but you know that it's going to make such a huge change in the communities, and you know that people believing in now. They believing in your vision, they believing in your work, and they're willing to join you. That's just amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. And thank you all for sharing these small moments that mean a lot, right? And with that, I just want everyone to just put your hands together for everyone here. Like, thank you so much for sharing. And that's the end of the panel. I'm going to invite you all to the front, and we'll just leave your mics on the chairs or the tables, and we are going to take some photos.